Yes. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the DevOps Roundup. Today, we're going to do something a little bit special because it's April Fool's. We wanted to trick you and have an out of cycle episode. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like. And today, we have a very hot topic in mind. Sean, I haven't decided if this is an April Fool jokes in its entirety or if it's actually real. But here's what happened. Claude code, source code, was leaked. Okay, and this is huge. Like, it wasn't like a little bit of code. It was like the entire code base that makes up Claude Code by Anthropic was completely leaked online. And what it reveals is quite interesting. So this, according to this article here on Ars Technica, and we'll put a link here in the chat for y'all to watch on the replay. All right. So yesterday's surprise leak of the source code for Anthropic's Claude Code revealed a lot about vibe coding scaffolding the company has built around its proprietary Claude model. But observers digging around through the 512,000 lines of code across more than 2,000 files have also discovered references to disabled, hidden, or inactive features that provide a peek into the potential roadmap of future releases. And I wanted to stop here, Sean, and get your thoughts on what does vibe code scaffolding mean to you?
A made up set of words.
Well, I think this is wrong button. I think this is pretty important, right? Because as more and more companies vibe code their way through life, vibe code doesn't really understand the whole SDLC as a whole and all the concepts of it, with security being a big component of it. So is it possible that somebody vibe coded their way into something that accidentally leaked it?
It's very possible. But it depends on what they mean by the scaffolding. Is it truly like an SDLC for vibe coding? I don't think it is, or is it just I think backending your vibe coding into version control?
Yeah, no, I just think what the article is referencing is that a lot of the code wasn't created by humans. Right, the code that, like, it's the machine that makes the machine, right? I think they're referencing that a lot of the code that was made here, the code that makes Claude, is mostly made by Claude.
And do you think that Claude decided that it was easier to just throw stuff out in an unsecure area for other people to find rather than throwing things into GitHub or something?
Well, I think maybe kind of on a similar, like something similar that I think would think is that vibe code doesn't know it, or when you're vibe coding something, it doesn't know any better. It's meeting a requirement, right? Whether it does the requirement elegantly, securely, or just
it never does it that way. It does it the most efficient way possible.
But with the sheer number, like on Saturday, I was doing my taxes. And I'm talking to my
your taxes.
Sorry,
vibe coding your taxes.
No. So I'm doing my taxes, and I'm sitting there with my tax guy, and so I have two tax guys. I got my corporate tax guy, and I got my personal tax guy. And so I'm doing my personal taxes because I've already done my corporate ones, and I'm sitting there with my corporate tax guy as I'm waiting for my personal tax guy to get open so we can actually go finish our taxes. And I'm like, hey, I got 15 minutes, and he's been bugging me for years. He's been asking me to build him some sort of an integration tool that connects two of his different tools together. So he has a central database. Basically, he needs a CRM, but he needs like the broke man CRM because they don't want to pay for Salesforce or HubSpot, right? And so I'm like, hey, I got time. Let me fire up anti-gravity. Before this guy even opens up, we'll be done with like a proof of concept. So in 15 minutes, we hashed out a workable prototype of a CRM based on what he wanted. But it was hundreds and hundreds of lines of codes and dozens of different files. There's no way in hell I'm going to be reading all that and double checking it and checking for security. And I'm just saying, yes, of course, fire up the server. Yes, of course, those calls make these API calls. Yes, of course, I need this to work because I just want to show him that I can make it happen in 15 minutes. So basically, back over to you. How do you think that impacts production and enterprise companies, especially as they're shifting and heavily leaning into vibe-coded software?
Well, ultimately, I don't think what you did is maintainable. You yourself were saying I'm not reviewing any of this stuff before it goes into production. Like what database did it use? Did it tell you it was going to pull down Postgres or something like that? So I think this is going to be creating lots of things to compete against. So all these vibe coding one-offs are going to be in the wild, and a company like Sugar CRM or VTiger or HubSpot or any of these can now do a pros and cons against something that was vibe coded in 15 minutes versus something that has been tested and tried for decades. That
Yeah.
I think it's going to prove that the older way of doing software still has value. And if you want to put all your customer data in something that someone vibe coded and didn't pay attention to what it was doing for 15 minutes versus paying $17 a user a month, I'm paying $17 a user per month.
But I think we're only going to start to see even more cases like Anthropic, because what was it, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, Amazon had like 2 or 3 incidents where it was related because of vibe coded applications or code that was created, right? So I think we're going to continuously see this. And do you foresee the government stepping in where automobiles can't have vibe coded code?
No, I don't see government stepping in anytime soon.
Until it's too late.
Until it's too late. Well, if you go back to, was that an April Fool's joke with Claude code getting out there? The more likely is it was backlash for Anthropic saying no to the Pentagon.
Do you think it was political?
I think if I'm going to wear a tinfoil hat, that's where I'm going to
This is not the direction I was hoping to take the episode in, but let's go there since you. Yeah. So I forget who I was arguing with, but I had to take a class in my master's degree where the government controls innovation, not technology.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting that you say that like it's almost like a form of retaliation, but it is plausible, right? That in order to cover something up or in order to distract, right, that something like this would happen. It's very curious, the timing of it.
It's very curious. And then it happens close enough to April Fools that we can claim it's an April Fool's joke. And next thing you know, all the Claude sources behind DoD doors.
What do you think I was going to ask you, what do you think these implications are of this code being released? Because I'll give you a great example. I can't really disclose a whole lot, but I've heard of companies. I'll just generalize it, right? I've heard of companies acquire smaller companies just for the intellectual property or the ability to use that source code. What?
Oh yeah, so yeah, both. I thought you were going to go with
kill.
I've known companies to buy other companies just to kill the competition.
Yeah, well, in this case, I've known of the companies because they don't want to develop the in-house expertise to develop that specific technology or feature set or whatever. So it's like, hey, well, let's just acquire it, and as part of that acquisition, we get unlimited access to that part of the code. So it's interesting, right? What you just said, right? Well, the government's like, well, if we can't have it, we all has it.
Yeah. I think it's plausible. Is that actually the truth? I doubt it, but
we'll find out. We'll find out in the Anthropic files of like the year 2070. When some president in the year 2070 starts leaking the Anthropic files and what happened in this day.
Yeah, they start leaking that to cover up some other scandal.
Skynet is real, so they got to cover that up and go, remember back in 2027, 2026?
Yeah, Terminators are coming back from the future, and so we need to cover
right? Time travel was invented. We can pinpoint it to April 1st, 2026. But it is scary. It is a little scary that a production level code can get leaked like that.
Oh, especially one that is evaluated at such a high dollar amount, when it hasn't really made any profit. How much is Anthropic being evaluated now?
I don't know, but it's one of the more valuable companies out there.
Was it like 60 billion or something crazy like that?
380 billion.
Oh, I wasn't crazy enough.
No, but it did just have a $30 billion Series G round, which is very alarming.
Yeah.
Previous valuation was 183 billion as of September 2025, Wow, 380 billion at a Series G. G's bad. You're not supposed to get past C.
Yeah, I know. Usually you don't get past C or D. Yeah.
Yeah, like C or D. Like these people need to watch an episode of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so many people are throwing money at something that hasn't really returned any results yet. It's promising. I'm having fun playing with it. I'm not to the point where I would release code that was just AI generated. My main sticking point, it's the same one that I've had for a while, is it seems to do prototypes pretty well. As soon as you want to iterate on that prototype, it starts failing miserably by doing things you didn't ask for, dropping functionality, dropping whole sections of code. I was just having it work on a document for me the other day, and I wanted it to fix the word formatting because I'm terrible at word formatting. I'll fight over double line spaces versus single line. Like, why are you doing this to my bullet points? And I've had good luck with multiple different AI tools saying, "Hey, standardize the formatting in this Word document for me." This week, I had no luck at that at all. It standardized the word format, but it deleted all the tables. I'm like, well, no, yeah. I didn't have to. I guess it's standard because the tables aren't there anymore. But that's why did you choose to do it that way?
Yeah, I had an emotional roller coaster with Claude this week, and it's only Wednesday. Yeah, Monday I jumped in. I connected MCP Manager, which is a tool that a friend of mine or a buddy of mine, colleague, an acquaintance, somebody I know.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Somebody that I know made this tool called MCP Manager, which basically allows enterprises and companies to keep a tab and a little bit of control, some governance.
He's an upcoming guest, right?
Yes, he will be an upcoming guest.
Yeah, we need to fit our schedules together. That's yes. The only thing we're waiting on. Yeah.
No, I thought we agreed already on the 2 Wednesdays from now.
Oh, okay. Maybe we did.
Spoilers. So, anyways, so they made this MCP Manager. So Monday I connected it, and they actually have it kind of cool. One of the examples that the MCP Manager team showed me was when they're in a meeting, they'll just like shout out, "Hey, Claude, make a ticket for this." Mm-hmm. And so when the meeting notes are being reviewed by Claude, it catches that trigger word, and the Jira ticket's automatically created.
Okay.
So I thought that was a really interesting use case. I'm like, oh, cool. I can just talk, and as we're talking, like, Sean, Claude, make a ticket for Sean so that he can do this or do that. And it just, one of the biggest struggles in Jira or using the Atlassian tools is that you got to remember to go make those damn tickets.
Mm-hmm. So right? that brings up a good question. For your AI tools, do you have it voice activated?
I don't currently, but the successful people that I'm seeing in the AI space are more and more increasingly using voice. And I think it's the way of the future. I think we need to get ourselves to a Jarvis-like era.
Yeah. So I haven't turned on the voice stuff, but mainly it's because I don't enunciate very well. I don't pronounce half the words correctly. I stutter, and I even have problems talking to my Alexa.
Which, by the way, I threw away today.
You threw away your Alexa?
Yep.
Why?
Because Alexa's useless if you don't have Alexa Plus now.
Oh, yeah. We had this conversation before.
So I asked Alexa to do some basic arithmetic today in the morning. She's like, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with that." And I'm like, so as she was saying, because she says, it's like, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with that." And she's like, "If you would like a trial of it," and I yanked the power cord and I chucked it across the room. I'm like, "You're done."
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
I know, but it's super annoying. We've been dealing with it for like 6 or 7 months at this point, and
it's been that long. So I know we talked about it.
Yeah, progressively it gets worse every day if you don't get Alexa Plus. And so I'm like, I'm not going to put you in my house anymore.
So, yeah, I have a bunch of what do you call it? The first edition.
The Echo Dots?
Yeah, that's all I have is the dots. And but I don't have anything more than version 2 or whatever you want to call that. And they've been pushing, I think, what, version 4 or 5 now.
I think, yeah, they're like on 6 now, right?
Oh, maybe, but it costs too much to upgrade, and
yeah, because they're not $25 anymore.
Yeah, and I use them to turn on and off lights. That's the primary thing, and to listen to my newscasts. But they changed my newscast. I used to have like 5 different newscasts play after each other, and it was all from major networks and things like that. Now I have an AI generated news feed, and it's some AI person talking, and it's annoying. They mispronounce things, not as often as I do, but but it's weird on why they would pause on certain words, and acronyms and things like that. And it's kind of like a mix of all the different feeds out there, and so it only lasts like 7-8 minutes, and it's over. And normally I would be listening to the news for about 30 minutes each morning when I'm getting my coffee and logging in and seeing what's going on for the day.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. So one of these more prolific AI people that I've been watching online, they go to the park and vibe code at the park. Or on their walk in general, right? But they're talking to their phone and just vibe coding their way through voice. And I've heard that it's much more easier to like go back and forth and actually have that debate with AI because you're talking. But what I would assume though is that you go through your tokens a lot quicker in voice.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that as well. Also, if I'm vibe coding on my phone, I'm not seeing the code, right?
Or do you need to see the code though, Sean? That's irrelevant.
No, it's not. I want to see what it's generating so I understand what it's doing. And I don't know. I should give that a try. I'm supposed to be walking more these days, but
yeah, I might actually give it a try too. I've heard Whisper's pretty good, but I think it's. I don't know if you watched the last episode of the Jura Life, but our guest vibe codes a lot. And
I was heckling during that.
Yeah. So he was actually leaning in and talking to his. I think it was. I forgot what he was using. I think it might have been Code or Claude.
Claude, I think it was.
Yeah, it was definitely Claude, and he was just like talking to it on the side, and it was generating whatever he talked to. But interesting phenomenon with that. But where were we going before we went down the Alexa rabbit hole? And
we started complaining about Alexa.
No, but before we're talking about talking vibe coding. Oh boy.
Yeah, I asked if you had activated any of the voice activations.
Yeah, but before that though, because I was telling you that some people were walking around. Oh man, this is what happens when we don't script the show, folks. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Anyway. They'll be watching the replay, Sean.
Oh, well, welcome to our friends of the future.
Did you know these videos stay on YouTube?
Well, we could delete it.
Or you leave it there and people watch it.
Oh, okay. Get the watch hours up. Well, we should be more entertaining then.
You got to jump on one foot and pat your belly and rub your head.
Yeah, I got fidget spinners.
Hey, we got somebody. Is that you?
No, it's not me, but welcome.
Welcome to the DevOps Roundup. All right, so we're talking about Anthropic and Claude, and we're trying to remember. We went down a rabbit hole that Sean took us down. I can't get myself back out.
I started talking about
what in the world were we talking about, Sean? Claude, source code leaks, the future of coding,
tinfoil hats.
Okay, I'm just gonna back it on up. I think we're gonna need more developers. I think is the answer.
I think so.
I think we're gonna need a lot more of trained developers. I think software engineering. I think the concept of software engineering is gonna be the most important concept of the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. Because, like, we're going back to the application I was building with my tax guy, right? Like that application, thousands of lines of code, it maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it ain't enterprise ready.
No, it's not enterprise ready. And now if your tax guy decides to start using it and it does something terribly wrong, who's he going to blame?
Well, yeah. So that's not good either.
No.
I think there's a lot of implications that people are just not seeing, right? I think it's too easy to say the narrative vibe coding is the future, vibe coding is this, but you cannot blindly vibe code your way through this because it will have some serious implications that are just not going to end well for the consumer
So,
and for the enterprise.
so I'm sure you've seen on YouTube all these influencers that have created hundreds of apps using vibe coding and how you can become a millionaire if you follow their 6 easy steps. How many of those are complete bullshit?
Well, I don't know. I believe that if you put enough effort into the vibe coding, that you should be able to get an idea out there to make a $5 to $10 a month application.
Okay.
And if you if you have a big enough audience, like if you and I, if we wanted to do an app, I think we could do something and have it fairly polished and make some
Should
money
we
on
start doing episodes where we build an app and try to
yeah, I mean that should be our live stream episode, is where we vibe code for an hour a day and build an app.
put it in the comments. Would anyone actually watch us vibe code?
I think so, because remember our friend Mike Day or Matt Day or Lady, sorry, Mike Lady.
Mike Lady, yeah.
I had a coworker named Matt Day. Mike Lady, his entire live streams are just him vibe coding for a few hours.
That's true, and he's got a lot more viewers than we do.
Not only that, he's got a lot more subscribers than we do.
That too, yeah.
So I think there's merit in that, but again, I think you and I would probably stand to have a greater chance of success, not compared to Mr. Lady here, but in general to the general population, because we understand software development at its core or as a principle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, have you seen the picture that I posted on LinkedIn about the amount of people that know about AI?
I remember you talking about it. I don't remember what why you were talking about it or where you were talking about it.
We were talking about it because, like, as much as vibe coding is like in the news everywhere, and
yeah, we were in a meeting together and you were talking about it, but
yeah, we were in some sort of a call. But as much as everybody's kind of talking about vibe coding and vibe coding that and like AI this and AI that, there's still the general population. When you step back and look at the 8+ billion people that are on planet Earth, the majority of them haven't even touched coding.
Yeah. I just had to check to make sure if we jumped to our channel yet or not. I forgot.
You think I'm still streaming on the wrong channel, Sean? I only make the mistake one.
Yeah, for people just joining us, we did the first 10 minutes of this on the wrong channel. We'll see if the marketing people for that channel catch it and say anything.
Oh, they'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah,
they will definitely let you know tomorrow. Yeah, so
channel too.
So on the vibe coding front, though, like, I don't know. I think it's an enabler. I think it's definitely going to allow people to do some really cool stuff.
I think so too, and I'm very pro AI in that aspect. I'm not pro AI in that it's going to create enterprise grade software.
At least not effectively and not without a lot of investment.
Can it do cell phone games? Yeah, I think it can.
Can it recreate the entire 1980s? See, so I have a gaming channel, Sean, and one of my objectives on there is to like recreate my favorite 1980s, 1990s games.
Oh, what are your 1980s games? You weren't alive in the 80s.
I was not, but I still played a little bit of 80s games.
Okay.
It wasn't like I wasn't the oldest, but I was born in 89. Here's the graphic, by the way. I'm gonna be streaming it here for you guys all to see. So every dot represents 3.2 million people.
Okay.
The red dot is the people that uses vibe coding.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow dots are people that pay for AI.
Okay.
The green dot is all the people that use AI in one way, shape, or another.
Mm-hmm. Which is these days, anyone that searches on the web, you're using AI.
Maybe. I still think that these are people that are intentionally going to Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT.
Not people that are just getting...
Yeah. And then the gray dots are everybody else that has never used AI.
Okay.
So I don't think we're in any trouble until that red dot gets a lot bigger.
Yeah. So is this also a graph that the investors look at on oh, we have a huge upside of potential users here because look at all the non-red dots here.
I think so. I think it's safe to say, right? Especially when you get like B2B, business to business sales, or is one thing, right? But B2C, where one of the areas that I like to pivot in personally is in that B2C type of market where this this is your oyster, right? Like these are all the infinite possibilities of potential revenue. And so there's this novelty in saying, I have this great idea. I can officially bring it to the world because of vibe coding exists. I don't know how successful you'll be though if you're not trained in the way of building.
Yeah.
Like I have a really hard time thinking that a plumber can let me proceed with caution.
Yeah.
I think that a plumber can
What do you
vibe
get
code
against
an
plumbers?
application. So what?
What do you get against plumbers?
No, I don't have anything against plumbers. I think it's very feasible for a plumber to be plumbing and talking to their AI agent via voice and saying, I have this problem. I want to be able to fix this problem. Problem is, anything that they would create would have to have some tangibility to it. Like I feel like they need something that they can physically leverage to then use.
Yeah. How many of their problems as they're on the job site actually relate to software code?
Probably none, right?
Yeah. But they do have problems, and they do use it more as a personal assistant, maybe
Right.
ordering parts or buying new tools. Or
Right. But yeah, so this is where I think it's going to be game changing, right? The minute that we can vibe code our way through hardware, that's going to open up a whole new realm of possibilities with a whole new world of problems, because things can blow up.
So you're kind of envisioning like a steel processing plant that has a influx via AI. So anyone with an AI agent can just say, "Hey, I need this particular set of pipes, and it needs these dimensions."
And needs to work like this
And then
and
all
work
of a
like that.
sudden, that goes directly to some steel mill somewhere, and it produces the.
You got how many acres of land up in the Colorado Mountains?
35 acres. So we can
35
probably
acres. I think we open
put
up
a
some sort of
steel
a
plant.
fab. Yeah, let's open up a 3D printing fab.
Yeah, as long as you can 3D print plastics, then
But
if your solution can be 3D printed.
well, I mean, yes, it should be able to, right? Because my son wanted to build an underwater submarine over the summer, and I'm like,
Well, those are the best type of submarines.
yeah. You don't want an air. What was it? I used to have a mentor when I worked at the Boeing company, and he's like, man, if I'm ever in a bind, I'm getting in with a submarine engineer. He's like, you know why? Because those people have to figure it out. Like anybody else, they have a plan B. Submarine,
there's no plan B. Yeah.
There's no plan B. You either die or you die trying. There is no backup plan. But anyway, so my son wanted to build an underwater vehicle. Happy?
That's better. Yeah.
Of the submersive type. And he's sitting on this idea. I'm like, dude, just fire up ChatGPT. Like, why are you fighting AI? Like, AI is here to help you. And so he's like, fine, I will do what you tell me. So he starts to describe the design, and he tells it, I need STL files, 3D CAD models for this, right? And so sure enough, with a little bit of back and forth, he ends up with these 3D printed files, 3D printable files. So I think it is possible for a plumber to come up with a tool, right? There's this awesome dude that I love watching on TikTok, which actually he retired now. He used to work at Honda. And when he was at Honda, he would showcase a bunch of 3D printed custom parts that were made just for Honda cars, and he would fix parts that were tricky to get to with these specialized 3D printed tools that he would use. And so I think there's a market for that, right? There's definitely a market for like, ooh, I have a very unique problem. I can't solve it any other way. But going back to the plumber problem, Sean, is I can imagine a plumber coming up with a piece of hardware that can detect a leak 1,000 times easier and faster and more accurate without having to dig up trenches and pipes and stuff.
Okay.
Right? But how do you bring that to life?
You don't. Not with AI.
But why not? Like, why can't you use AI to prototype a proof of concept, have our 3D printed Farmville,
Do a prototype. Yeah.
yeah, have a prototype, be able to iterate, because the
We're
software
probably
component.
not that far from that. We probably, a year or two out from doing something like that. So how did the submarine print come out?
We didn't print it out,
Oh, why not?
but we had all the CAD files.
Well, send it to me. I'll print it out.
I know, right? You actually have your printers running all day long. I gotta go find them. I think I have them on my computer somewhere. But yeah, we definitely had all the files to print out. But I think the world of vibe coding from a software perspective will have to evolve from an enterprise perspective, and then I think it's gonna have to mature. Let me rephrase. It'll have to mature for software and have to evolve for everything else.
Mhm.
There should be. Jensen's like very bullish on this, right? Like AI, the advent of AI, because it can take away all of the frustrations and all the things that are on our head all day long, like OpenClaw, then that frees us up to think about how do we create something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for that future.
I am too. Why don't we wrap up our live stream? We went 30 minutes.
Sounds great, folks. Let us know what you would like to vibe code in the comment section or in the chat if you're watching the replay. Or the comment section if you're watching the replay. Chat if you're watching live. We'll see you in the next one, folks.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Sean's hungry.